I do believe that the term Allah was a term that could be used for any deity. It could be used for the high pagan god of a specific tribe or a people, and it could be used by the monotheist for the true God of all. This is why I said earlier, the term itself is generic, just like the English word God. You can use the term God for anyone. Shirley MacLaine says she's God. Those in the New Age say they're God. So you can use the term to refer to anything or anyone. And I believe Allah functions the same way. Now the question is, who was Allah to the pagan Arabs, the Quraysh tribe of Muhammad? Because even Muslim sources say Muhammad was born to pagan parents. His tribe was steeped in paganism. They had 360 idols. In fact, his father's name was Abdullah, slave of Allah. Well, I recommend people reading Yusuf Ali's Appendices, which gives you a little background on the practices of the pagans in Mecca. One of the practices that he mentions is that they believed there were 7 planets, the sun and moon, and 5 planets, which they considered sun and moon as part of the planets. 7 planets, and they would run around the Kaaba 7 times in honor of these deities, because these planets to them represented deities. Now, even Muslims will tell you that the pagans believed that Allah had 3 daughters, Banat Allah, the 3 daughters of Allah, which are mentioned in chapter 53, verses 19 to 20 of the Qur'an. In fact, my brother here, we have time, can elaborate that initially Muhammad praised these goddesses and then later changed his mind, and I'll defer that to him because he's done a debate on it, and glory to Jesus, it was successful. He demonstrated from the early sources that Muhammad lapsed into idolatry, and hopefully he'll have a little time later to share that. But Banat Allah, the daughters of Allah, Allat, Al-Uzza, Manat. According to many scholars, Uzza is the name of Venus, the planet Venus. So that these represented planetary deities, and some say that Allat represented Saturn. Now with that said, think about it. If these were gods and goddesses that had planets representing them, symbolizing them, those who know Arabic, and Brother Joseph can confirm, the word Shams for sun is feminine. Now this is a patriarchal society, meaning they believe in the male deity as the head god, not the female deity. Well, if Shams is the female deity, and she's the consort of Qamar, which is masculine, the moon, that means the moon is the high god. Therefore, this suggests that the pagans were calling the moon Allah, because that was their high god, and believed the moon represented Allah, their god, which explains the fascination with the moon symbol. So by process of elimination, Allah must have referred to the moon god, because he would have been the male deity in this pantheon of planetary gods.
This one asks, why is it the Muslims claim that they only worship God, the same God of Abraham and the same God of Jesus, peace be upon them, and yet at the same time they're actually worshiping a moon god in a black box in the desert? Okay, I know a lot of Muslims watching this right now are going, this moon god thing again. What is it with these people? Well, first of all, remember, you have to say this. Thank you for asking me about my religion. Because they have gone to the trouble to come to us. You're always complaining that the media says this, the media says that. How come we don't get a chance? Well, you got a chance. Somebody's asking you a legitimate question. Why is it? Okay? Because they have perhaps seen pictures of the Kaaba, especially during the Hajj time. And even in Ramadan time, they'll put it on the regular news and show people going around, there's a black box out there. And it is in a desert. And you know it, and I know that. So what's going on with that? And as far as the moon god is concerned, you and I both know that on top of many of the masajid, the mosques of the world, you see this crescent moon and a star in there. So it's a legitimate question. Maybe they're asking it in a harsh way, but take some time and give them the right answer. Remind them and remind yourself that Muslims can't lie, especially about our religion. And we have the proof. The proof is the evidence authenticated many hundreds of years ago. We know since 1400 years the Qur'an has never changed. And the hadiths have been verified and authenticated by Imams Muslim and Bukhari and Tirmidhi and Ibn Majid and Abu Dawud and so and so and so. We know which ones of the hadiths are absolutely authentic, which ones have a question mark and so on. So there's no doubt in our mind what was really said. That's the point. So let's remember, we have the truth and we have the proof. Let's look now, and what's the evidence for what we're talking about? First of all, let's treat the subject of the moon god and get that out of the way. There was someone recently, and I'm not even going to mention his name, okay? But he wrote a book, The Moon God Called Allah. It is so full of fabrication and things taken out of context, misquoting even from archaeological finds and putting time dates at the wrong time, trying to say that Muslims worship the moon. This is such a ridiculous thing, and the person himself is ridiculous. I have tried to speak with them, and they will not return our emails or their phone calls anymore, because all we ask them to do is be on the show with us, and let's talk about it. You'll have a chance to say whatever you want. We won't even edit it. You can say what you like. It wouldn't show up. Okay? So let's talk about this. Muslims are forbidden in the Qur'an. Clearly states in the Qur'an that you cannot worship the sun or the moon. You have to worship the one who created it. So how in the world could somebody take a statement like that and say, well, they're sun worshippers or moon worshippers? Because people did used to do that. Absolutely they did it. But the Quran forbid it. So how in the world can you twist that around? So they did. And I said to him, first of all, do you understand, I have to tell you the truth, and we have the evidence to back up what we say. It's not going to be different from me, and maybe some other scholar over here say something totally different. No, it's all the same. We know the same story. The foundation of the place that we're talking about, that foundation was laid there by Abraham himself. And it's the place, according to some of the narrations we have, that Adam put his head on the ground when he asked Allah to forgive him for eating the fruit. That's how old the place is. It's ancient, and it's a place of worship since time immemorial. Abraham used this same place. The descendants of Abraham through Ishmael lived at this very place. This is the place where Abraham left his wife Hagar, or Hajra, as we call her in Arabic, and her son Ismail, or Ishmael as we call him in English. And you can go there today, if you're Muslim, and you can see this is the place. It's never changed. Even though people used to worship idols and statues and so on there, when Islam came, it reminded them go back to the real, authentic worship of Abraham. And and that's what they were being called to do. The circumambulation and going around it 7 times, and the act of wearing the 2 towels, these are all commemorating the things that Abraham and others did since that time. And it also clarifies in the Qur'an what is correct and what is not correct when it comes to this celebration and this type of festivity of doing the Hajj. It talks about going between the 2 mountains of Safa and Marwa, and this was something done by Hagar at the time of being left there in the desert by Abraham. All of this commemorates worship of the one true God.